Hello, Jim. How are you? Good, thank you. So the governor really made a mess for himself in Florida. Yeah, that seems to be the consensus, but I wouldn't bet against him just yet. There's a lot of Romney people out there who would disagree with you. They think his position on in-state tuition for immigrants makes him Texas toast. Immigration is a complex and complicated problem. The governor didn't create it, but he has to deal with it every day. Providing in-state tuition for these undocumented immigrants is just one of those issues. But the real problem is the federal government refusal to take securing the border seriously. That's where the fault lies. Secure the border and this tuition issue goes away. And nobody is more an advocate for securing the border than Governor Perry. But the problem of dealing with the people that are already here is also a mess that Texas has to deal with. And one of the ways we deal with it in Texas is by helping the children of these undocumented immigrants. That's a law that had a grassroots effort that almost 100% of the lawmakers agreed with. And yes, Governor Perry signed it into law, but it's a state issue. It's not a national issue. And it's not what people like Romney and Santorum would have you believe, where Mexicans are swimming across the border, changing into dry clothes and going to college. That's just a ridiculous premise. And it's not even Texas that starts this ideal. The U.S. Supreme Court mandated long ago that these undocumented children receive free public education up to grade 12. All we're doing in Texas is carrying that a step further, allowing these children to have the same starting point in state institutions that all of their classmates got. I don't see how that can be a problem. How about the fact that they're here illegally? What about that? Yeah, I get that. But these are children that have been dragged across the border at no fault of their own. Many have been in Texas most of their lives and don't know what it is to live anywhere else. These children have to attend high school in Texas for a minimum of 3 years. They have to graduate, and then they can qualify for this in-state tuition. Again, I don't see how that can be a bad thing. Well, it's really about the money. That seems to be what gets people riled up. It doesn't seem right to spend $100,000 to educate these undocumented students. First, it's not 100,000. Romney uses funny math to come up with that number. It's closer to 88,000. Second, we're talking about 1%. They represent only 1% of Texas college students. In my books, 88,000 is still a lot of money. Yeah, of course it is. But only a fraction of these children are getting that discount. Most of these students come from lower income families. They can't afford UT, even with the discount. The bulk of them attend community college and trade schools. The real discount isn't even close to what Romney suggests. His claim is just kabuki theater. But does it make sense? Does it seem fair that they get this discount while other U.S. citizens in other states don't? That's just not true. Any out-of-state citizen gets the same deal. In fact, there's an easier path for them. Just move to our state, live and work here for 1 year, and you qualify for in-state tuition. No undocumented illegal alien will ever get that deal. Even legal aliens don't get that deal. Look, most states have qualifying rules for in-state tuition, but the bottom line is this is a state issue. It's not a national issue. Governor Perry would never mandate this on a federal level. Never. He believes in states' rights. He has said over and over again he wants to make the government as inconsequential in your life as possible, and he has a history of doing just that. Okay, but it's still a benefit, and you have to at least agree that that makes it a magnet. Do you really think there's a bunch of Mexicans waking up in the morning saying, okay, today let's swim across the border with our kids, climb a fence, walk the desert, hide from the border patrol, send our kids to school for 3 years, make sure they make decent grades so that they graduate, so then we can spend thousands of dollars on their education so they can go to college. That's the magnet? If it's such a magnet, then how come only a fraction of those undocumented children ever go on to take advantage of it? I'll tell you what's more of a magnet is the fact that the Supreme Court mandates Texas educate these children all the way up to the 12th grade. That's much more of the magnet. Is Romney suggesting that we deport those kids? What do? Start raiding the kindergartens? Where do you draw the line? In Texas, these undocumented children must apply for U.S. residency on a path to citizenship, and only a small percentage of these undocumented children ever take advantage of it. Governor Perry decided it would be a good thing for our state to offer it to them at in-state rates. It's not a national issue. It's a state issue. It's not a magnet. The magnet is U.S. exceptionalism. That's why they come here. If you want to fault the governor for something, fault him for still believing in that. He believes in U.S. exceptionalism. He intends to preserve this country's greatness. If you want to get rid of that magnet, then re-elect Obama and continue allowing him to destroy our country. The truth is, people are always going to want to come to the United States. That's not going to change. So what needs to change is the way the federal government secures our border. That's the problem. Let's say I agree with you. It still doesn't make it right for Governor Perry to call people heartless who disagree. That's not what Governor Perry meant. What he meant is these children were brought here by parents who were illegal. You can't blame that on the child. They came here at no fault to their own, and the U.S. Supreme Court mandates that the state educate them. And Texas does that willingly. But then to see these children work so hard to graduate, some of them graduating with honors, and to not give them the same starting point, the same opportunity as their fellow classmates got, that's what he thinks is heartless. And you can disagree with that point. But I personally think that if you lived in Texas for any length of time, that eventually you would come around and see that it just makes sense. What is Romney suggesting we do? Round up all these children? Charge them with crimes? Begin mass deportations? Okay, but Romney said you have to have a heart and a brain. Ha! I would suggest when Romney makes statements like that, it just shows he has neither. Governor Perry doesn't want illegals coming into Texas. He has been pleading with Obama to do his job and secure the border. It's a major burden on our state. They flood our jails, our hospitals, and our streets. Go to any Texas city and you'll see immigrants, illegal immigrants on the streetcars looking for work, sometimes for pennies on the dollar. It's a difficult situation for Texas, very difficult, and all because the federal government refuses to secure the border. The governor didn't ask for this problem, but he has to deal with it the best way he can. And one of those ways is trying to help these children, some who don't really know any other home but America, to better themselves. You can accuse Perry of sometimes arguing passionately and forgetting not everyone is from Texas, but if they spent some time here, they would soon realize it makes sense both from a compassionate side and an economical side. Texas has some of the strongest Republican conservatives in the nation, and we almost unanimously agree on this issue. These children who continue their education go on to be better contributors to our state and America. They become much less of a burden on our state. It's a proven investment that works well. Now you can argue this point, but if you lived in Texas for any length of time, I think you would think differently. I think you would see that helping these children is the right thing to do.